good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy Saturday, happy weekend. And for some of you that listen in from abroad, happy Sunday. Prayerfully, everyone is doing well on this brand new day. It appears to be a bit overcast outside. However, there are no rains nor heavy winds at this time, at least in my neck of the woods. So today's stream is not going to be long. I just wanted to go over a few things. I listened to quite a few lives yesterday, and information that's been put out, some information that I have put out and stated. And as always, fact check. Cross-reference and use other sources. I have said many times, and I will continue to say, I'm not right about everything, and never will be. But there are certain things I can say I'm pretty much comfortable in. Maryland is a different animal in many certain ways. I also said, without hesitancy, that humans make errors, especially when it comes to entering data. I also mentioned that sometimes information isn't updated. So what we may see at first may change. It all depends on systems. Systems may be updating where the information doesn't upload. So there are several different things that can happen where you don't see certain things. Some people may not know exactly where to go to find information. So I wanted to go over, because I put something on my community wall and I said I wanted to have this conversation. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not, but there are just some things that for me stick out. And I'm wondering, for some, if you feel the same. That being said, I am going to present a few screens, and I am going to do my best to make sure, even though this is public, but just to try my best to make sure too much isn't shared. So this is the first screen I wanted to look at. And hopefully it's large enough for people to see. We see jury trial, 8/9/2024. 9 o'clock, you see the judge's name, you see concluded and held. Normally, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Normally, if you enter a plea, there will not be a jury. Second thing, and this is where some confusion, in my opinion, has occurred, even with myself. The offense date is December the 30th, 2023. Probable cause. You see none here. And again, I want you, those that are here, and those of you who may catch the replay, just pay attention to certain things, that's all. Don't quickly go through them. Actually study them. Pay attention. Again, keep in mind, I don't know everything. I really don't. There's certain things I look back on and check with people for guidance. So, again, charge 2, third degree, offense date 12/30/2023. Plea, guilty. Plea, date 8/9/2024. Disposition 8/9/2024. You see, jail, life faults. So the individual did not get life, nor the worst. The initial term, 10 years. All suspended except for 5. This is what I was trying to get across, and maybe my delivery was not correct, but in looking at this, and again, I could be wrong, but in looking at this, where it says jail here, start date, that would lead me to believe that time, jail time, went back to the original commitment date, which was February 2nd, 2024. So keep that in mind for right now. And I'm going directly to yesterday. Defendant received notice of post-trial rights. Post, of course, means after the proceeding. Then there was a commitment record issued. And then the order for supervised probation. Again, I believe that's where a lot of confusion may have taken place. So the questions may be, is this individual actually free on probation? Because it does say supervised probation of 5 years. But, and again, I could be wrong. Information may not have been updated as of yet. But if you look at the start date, there is no start date. I'm going to another screen. Let me see who this is really quickly. Hey there, mobile, how are you? Happy Saturday. Thank you for coming by. Next. I'm going to share another screen. This was the original or initial charges, and this is what I had stated I wanted to have a conversation about. Charge number 1, rape, first degree. Probable cause, yes. Assault, first degree. Probable cause, yes. Charge 3, rape, second degree. Probable cause, yes. Charge 4, offense, third degree. Probable cause, yes. 5, assault, second degree. Probable cause, yes. Charge 6, offense, fourth degree with contact. Probable cause, yes. Arrest warrant 1/30/2024. Bond, setting information, hold without bond. February 2nd, 2024. Hold without bond. Warrant issued 1/30/2024. Warrant or writ served. Initial appearance and committed 2/2/2024. Now on the first page, you see jail time with this date right here, 2/2/24, which in my eyes, from my optics, and again, I could be wrong, leads me to believe that time started or was grandfathered back for the initial arrest or commitment. So I'm going to stop that. Next, I'm going to share notice of post-trial rights. This is a blank notice of post-trial rights. It would have the circuit court for, I'm going to safely assume, Baltimore City, whatever the address was, and the defendant's name and the case number, which would advise the individual the rights. Next, we're going to look at the commitment record. Again, we're going to look at the commitment record that was issued. Now, pay attention to words and detail. A guilty plea was entered on the 9th. The commitment record was issued on the 9th. There was no commitment issued February 2nd, 2024. Again, that could have been an error, but something to think about. So let's look at what a commitment record is. Put it on my community wall, but let's go over it. And when a person is convicted of an offense and sentenced to imprisonment, the clerk shall deliver or transmit to the officer into whose custody the defendant has been placed a commitment record containing the name and date of birth of the defendant, the docket reference and the action and the name of the sentencing judge, the offense and each count for which the defendant was sentenced, the sentence for each count, the date the sentence was imposed, the date from which the sentence runs, and any credit allowed to the defendant by law. So you can read all of this if you're interested, but it is found in Google Maryland commitment record issued. So I'm going to stop sharing there. Next, I provided also another source, a valuable source. I'll present that. This is Vineland, and it's available in most states, but for Maryland, if you're seeking an offender or defendant, you can either put in their name or their ID number. Now, this is what I want you all to pay attention to. And keep in mind, I specifically said humans make errors. When you do a search with the defendant's name, and I wasn't going to show that information. What you will see status in custody. Now, unless there was an error, which as I said, I'll know for sure very soon. But according to VineLink, if you put in certain information will come out. You can use the name or ID number. I used an ID number. And according to VineLink, this individual is in custody. Next, and this is the most important part. If you use the name And again, clearly it's misspelled. Remember, I absolutely said errors are made many times in the court systems and other reporting systems. So, that being said, people may not even realize it, but the name was misspelled. But even if you type in the correct name, the same information that I presented earlier as far as the court cases will come up. So it's the same individual. I'm just pointing out to some of you out there that may not quite understand or know how to use other resources. Information is there if you know where to go. You know, the conversation I wanted to have, I'll drop this, even though I know no one is going to come up. Let me put this in here. And again, focus is absolutely on the victims. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to continue to say this until I actually have those documents. Well, let me just say everything. How do you, as a prosecutor, take off the table first-degree rape charges? Now, keep in mind, all such offenses are violent crimes. First degree in Maryland, felony to engage in the intercourse or an act with another person using force or the threat of force and lacking consent of the other person. Again, you all can read first degree means. That was the most serious. That was the most damning that could have put that person away for a very, very long time. There were 6 charges initially, and probable cause for each of them. Probable cause. As written by the officer who took the report. Ladies and gentlemen, I will say this again. A police report is the record from which the victim or victims provide information to the responding officer. Not all information provided to officers are accurate. Not all information provided to officers are 100% the truth. Hey there, D. Jarrell, how are you? Good to see you. Not all information given to the police is the absolute truth. And some people may get upset with me. And again, focus is on the victims, but we have seen and we do know that unfortunately there are women, and sometimes younger women, that may not tell the truth. And there are men serving time now because some women didn't tell the truth. I ask again the question, how is it that first degree is taken off of the table? Everything taken off the table except for the third degree assault, where there was a guilty plea and 5 years. And 5 years probation. The confusion for some, and me too, just a little bit right now. If in fact they're concurrent or consecutive. From what I read and how I gather it, no. And from the other link that I provided, this person is in custody. Actually, from an individual that I spoke to, extremely close to this, unless they were not being genuine, confirmed in custody status. When you're reading these documents, read all of them. Don't just focus on bits and pieces, because you can get thrown off. Also, keep in mind, and I just showed you a perfect example of how errors can happen, errors in the spelling of a person's name. There may be people out there now saying, oh, this person really isn't incarcerated because we can't find them. Well, maybe it's because their name wasn't entered correctly. There could be several reasons why. But for those of you who are just getting here and didn't see what I provided, if you go under Vine link and put in that person's name, you will see, and I used the ID number. So that's another thing. You have to have an ID number or a SIC or document number. That's another thing I haven't heard a lot of people speak about. So keep that in mind as well. I use the ID number. In custody, if you just use the name, clearly that is spelled by the organization incorrectly. But if you pull it up, you'll see that it is indeed the same person. The only difference is you'll see the court proceedings. As it relates to all of those charges, and I'm going to say this again, because there was, in my opinion, a strong prosecutor, but those other charges were null prost, meaning they decided not to pursue them. What evidence, if any, came up to have the prosecutors take everything, especially the first degree, the most serious, the one that holds the most weight, off of the table? Could it be that some of the allegations, I'll just say, were unfounded or perhaps untrue? That's a very heavy jacket to put on someone. Now, granted, and I'll just say allegedly, this isn't the first time this individual has had these types of issues. So the probability of something like this occurring, very high. But the bottom line is, you have to provide the proof beyond a shadow of a doubt. Question is, and I think we all know the answer, it may not have been done. Why would someone take a plea deal if they're not guilty? In these types of cases, there are jury members who will say they're not biased when indeed they could be. And rather than face a trial, and if the initial police reports were presented and with the probable cause for each of those charges were also presented, that individual could have very well been found guilty on each and every one of them. And instead of 5 years and probation, it could have been much longer. So until I have everything, I want you all that have come in, or those that will catch the replay, look at each of the screen shares I presented. Look at the dates. Look at the rules. Look at what a commitment record is. Notice of post-trial rights. And again, look at the jail time. Original sentence, 10 years. 5 years suspended. You look at the date. It goes back to the original commitment date of February 2nd, 2024. And for yesterday's proceeding, the most glaring thing to everyone that knows about this should have been, why is there only one charge here? And that was the 3rd degree. That's not good either. But in my opinion, that was the best choice, the best option this individual had. So review this information, think about it, and use Vine link. Because even though it's public, I didn't release any information. But if you use that particular site, you will see a facility and you can find out for yourself. Thank you to those that came by and to those that will catch the replay. I presented the initial 6 charges. Then the one with the plea. I provided what? The commitment issue record is. Notice of post-trial rights. And most importantly, Vine link, where you can search. And again, this is available for most states, but for Maryland, you can use the name or ID number. The ID number will show the status unless, keep in mind, unless it has not been updated. The name alone will have mostly the court information. Keep in mind, there was an error on that last name. And I said this yesterday in my lives. As humans, we do make errors, especially when we're entering data. And I just proved that point. When presenting information, always go back and keep an open mind that mistakes do happen, which is why I always say Fact check, cross-reference, and do not rely on just one source. You may be surprised what you may find. Everyone, enjoy the remainder of your day or evening or morning, depending upon where you are. Until next video, be safe, be well, and be out there. Until next time, bye-bye for now.